All right, today we're going to talk about Platonic solids and what makes those different from the other shapes that we've been talking about this week. So Platonic solids, there are 5. Let's go make this a level 2. There are 5 of these special polyhedrons where all the faces are congruent. And all the faces are regular polygons with the sides are all equal. That's what regular means, if you guys remember. Some number of faces meet at each vertex. Sorry, same number. So in our own words, briefly explain why these solids are called Platonic. And that's because they are named after the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who did a lot of work with Platonic solids. So now you know. All right, list the 3 different polygon faces that could make all Platonic solids. So we might see one with equilateral triangles. We might see one made up of squares as the faces, or you might see one made up of regular pentagons. Okay, let's imagine building one of these. The points form a one-dimensional object. So like starting with a line segment, you're going to pick 2 points that make that segment. So picture drawing that line. And then we're going to draw more lines. So for example, if you take the congruent one-dimensional object to form a regular polygon, so specifically if you do 4 congruent segments, it would make a square. So you start with the first segment, then draw more dots to make more segments. Now we've got a square. And then you've got the congruent regular polygons that form the Platonic solids. And it's got 6 congruent squares that are the faces that make that hexahedron. That hexahedron is one of your Platonic solids. Down here, it's going to actually list them all out. These are the 5 different Platonic solids. So the first one is called a tetrahedron. And the polygon face that makes up tetrahedrons, if you can see there in the picture, are equilateral triangles. You know what? I need to go to a smaller font here. This is looking kind of squished. Much better. Okay, next, to look at that picture, we've got an octahedron. And that's made up of equilateral triangles as well. Can you see it there in the picture? Then we get to one that has square faces. And that one has 6 total faces, so it's a hexahedron. Finally, we've got the icosahedron. And that is made up of equilateral triangles. And last but not least, we've got the dodecahedron. And that's made up of the regular pentagons. So of all of these, just take note that these ones are all made up of equilateral triangles. And then there's one that's made up of squares, and there's one made up of a regular pentagon. So what's the difference between those equilateral triangle ones? It is the number of faces. So there, if you want to pause it there to see all 5, so you can finish writing those. Let's look at the prefixes and how they got these names, which you may have already noticed. Notice that tetra means 4. And that's because it's made up of 4 faces. Notice that hexa means 6, made up of 6 faces. Octa means 8, because it's made up of 8 faces. Dodeca means 12. And icosa means 20. So those are the prefixes that mean those numbers. And that means we would have 4 equilateral triangle faces. And here we've got 6 square faces. And here we've got 8 equilateral triangle faces. Down here we've got 12 regular pentagon faces. And finally 20 equilateral triangle faces. Okay, so that was just some more vocab for the 7.3. The 7.3.2 quiz is optional, extra credit. Go do that quiz right now on just some vocabulary if you feel like you want to, or don't do it and it won't count against you. Let's now move on to the 7.4. This is the actual lesson of the study guide that we need.